there. Are you a disaffected leftist that feels like voting for Kamala Harris is voting for genocide? I have a video for you to watch. This is Oluyemi Olorin. I think that's her name. I think that's her last name. She was the person who gagged the New York City mayor that got Adams when he... There's that clip that went around, and he was talking about, look at all the crime. She's like, no, it's not. This is good discussion. This is on the Godfrey Comedy podcast. This is very good. I mean, I think most of the people in my chat are already voting for Kamala Harris. The basic of it is Donald Trump is very bad for everything that we like, and it's much easier to organize against leftists or liberals as a leftist than it is voting against fascism. It's really hard to organize against fascists because, you know, they're fascists. You should do what you can to vote for Kamala Harris. And if you're Australian, do what you can to encourage people to vote for Kamala Harris, even though she's a liberal. Anyway, I would like to let's watch this a little bit because I think the discussion is good, and I've been trying very hard to get like a third-party voter that has a brain cell to talk, but as you can imagine, they don't really have those. They really don't. Protest voters are like super up their own ass about virtue signaling that they're going to wash their hands of genocide or whatever. And it's like simple trolley problem. Okay? In one path, you have Kamala Harris, that people are still going to die, especially if Palestine and Gaza is your single issue. People are still going to die in Gaza, but it will be to a lesser extent. It will get much worse under Trump. He wants to expand into like shit with Iran. He wants to keep bombing Lebanon, etc. It's all fucking bad. And then there's the trolley itself, which would be like the American war machine. So if you can figure out how to disable the trolley, that's also cool. But I'm going to say that your odds are low. I've been playing a lot of XCOM lately. I don't think we got that in us. So I'm going to assume no revolution is going to happen anytime soon, and we're going to get one or the other for president because, like, obviously, you just got to, it's a reality check, okay? Okay, that's my preamble. We're going to talk more about it as we go in, but, I mean, like, the reality is we got two choices, man.
A situation where, you know, like...
Also, Stein was endorsed by David Duke. Oh, yeah, I mean, just whoever you're voting for third party is a dumb choice, but Jill Stein especially.
I know you're not a Kamala, because when I say it, I get nothing but the smoke. The Kamala, so she was a prosecutor who they tried to say she had thousands of...
I don't know who this is. I don't know who that is. Sorry. Godfrey is joined by Oluyemi and doesn't have this guy listed. I don't know. I don't know who this is.
Do you believe that?
No, that is. I mean, that is because it's not. I mean, it's not true. Like, I'm not like a big like. Here's
Are you a big Kamala?
No. But I'm not against her. Let me be clear about where I stand on this issue. Right.
I think most of us stand pretty much right where she's at, by the way.
Because I've articulated this a million times, and people are gonna jump you regardless.
Right.
Like this election season, you're just gonna get jumped.
Yes.
But how I feel about the election is like, the government in and of itself, the government is not your girl. Like, the government is not your friend. It's not united in right. The government, if you
Neither
look at
are police officers.
If you look at the government as an adversarial, like it's an adversarial system, right? Like that's why what people, it's called a resistance. They call it resistance because you're resisting an adversarial, like an oppressive force, right? Yeah. So it's people, and I don't mean this like in a theoretical way, like political theory. No, it is, when I say people are the ones who create the change, I mean literally on the ground. What happens is these organizers on the ground,
This is so good to acknowledge that we're not voting for like a good... When you're voting for president, you're not like, yay, that's my vote, America. It's just like left or right. Pick one. We're going... It's a highway, man. We're not to the destination we want to be anytime soon. We're on a road trip, bro. We're just picking a destination. On the right, it's looking pretty fucking bad for those of us in the back of the convoy, but on the left, it's looking pretty good for all of us, but bad for some of us. You know what I mean? And that is what it is. We don't have more power than that. And you need to, like, fucking vote for Kamala Harris and then go fucking protest her if you want. I don't care. That's exactly what you should do.
These regular people.
In 1 week, Kamala Harris needs to start getting really pressured after she wins. Really pressured on Palestine. She's already changed her language on this shit.
Go and they figure out. They start figuring out what laws they want to do.
We have 2 lemons. I disagree. Okay? I know you mean well. We don't have 2 lemons. We have 1 lemon, Kamala Harris. I love lemons, by the way, but you can't just like eat them whole, right? You need a bunch of different stuff going on to make the lemon worthwhile, okay? And then we have diarrhea. Nobody likes diarrhea except troublemakers. That people voting for diarrhea are like, a bunch of people are going to have diarrhea. It's going to bug you seeing the nail? I don't know. Why?
All of this, and they eventually find a politician who will be susceptible, who will listen, at least be receptive to what they want to say, and they try and get them to take it to the finish line. That is how change is created, by people doing it. So for me, the way I see it, with you thinking about it like that in mind, I want the weakest adversary in place. Like, I want the person that is most easiest for the people to defeat or to convince or to persuade. And that is simply the Democrats. It's just factually that. Like,
that's such a good fucking point. Vote for your weakest adversary. This is what we mean when we say it's easier to organize under liberals than it is under fascists. Liberals are the weaker adversary to us. They're also more on our side than they're not. You know what I mean? It's so important to understand that the fascists, the Republicans, are going to make not just Palestinian lives worse, all of our lives worse. It's existential for everybody. They're even to the point where, like, the whole world, it's not like you gotta fucking pull one way or the other on the lever. Help us pull. There's just like no reason to let the world cook because Donald Trump doesn't believe climate change is real, neither do the Republicans, when we could just simply go in the more correct path.
As an organizer, as somebody who like does this work, does bill reform, is constantly involved in these kinds of things, the reality is I have never in my fucking life been on a phone call with the Republicans, like interested in hearing why I'm against this bill or why I think you should do that or whatever. But I have with Democrats, and that's just the reality. It's not.
Listen, do you hear that? Democrats are like, wait, why do you think that? They're at least, some of them, at least interested in having conversations about this shit. Hey, why do you think addressing people's needs is good? Seems brain dead, but like...
Not about supporting them. It's not about cheerleading them. It's not about being like, you should love or expect them to do anything for you. Right. I expect that anything I want to do will be on the work of me. What I want is what I go and work for. I want bail reform. I want this. I want that. Those are the things I work and I rally around and I try to figure out I could do that. And I find politicians who will listen to that. So that's how I see it. It's as simple as that. Voting for your weakest adversary. And then beyond that, I mean, to me, if I could explain to you, we know Donald Trump. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm like, this is the third election cycle dealing with this man. Like,
I'm fucking done with this, by the way. The election cycle involving Donald Trump, I'm over it. I don't want to see this fucker ever again. When he croaks, crab fucking rave, okay? The second he dies, I'm going live as fast as I can. I better not be on vacation. I'm going live as fast as I can. We're crab raving. We're going nuts. Fuck this guy. I'm so done. Let's move the fuck on. Let's get better politics going. I would love to have regular disagreements with people about stuff that matters. That's all I want. Regular, normal society.
I think people are quick to forget. They have a short memory when it comes to what it is that Donald Trump has done. And I think people like to convince themselves that the only difference between Democrats and Republicans is rhetoric. Like, that's what they say. Like, oh, Democrats want to do and say the same thing or whatever, but they just say it different. They say it nicer. They don't say the thing. But
oh, dude, I hate that. Because it's like obviously not the case. You can see the legislation in blue states like Michigan where we codify abortion rights, codify LGBTQ rights, make sure that like we're not a right to work state anymore.
That's not true. Like, materially it isn't true, but let's pretend it is, that it's just a rhetoric difference. Rhetoric incites hate. That's why we get hate crimes. Think about they're not even in office. Think about what JD Vance and Donald Trump's comments about Haitians in Springfield. Bullshit. Debunked immediately. But that caused people in Springfield, them not be able to open their business. Haitians in the house, Haitians being attacked, Haitians experiencing crime.
True.
It's real.
She should run for office. I know she wants to do more activism, but I mean, just listen to her. She could just crush a lot of people. She should go.
33 bomb scares. Bombing, threatening to bomb children's schools and everything. So when I talk about this and now everybody's like, oh, you a shill for, you just don't read a book.
I know she's a lawyer. Get the fuck into the office though. She'd be fucking excellent at it.
crazier about it is that you're talking about
one of us.
Project 2025. Because I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna leave it to you because I know if I say it, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Damn, I had to.
So the 2025 Project 2025 is what she's talking about is the easiest to move. Project 2025 is an agenda for Republicans.
I think what people need to understand about Project 2025, right, is like it sounds like a big, things can sound conspiratorial, like this big like thing that they're like scaring you with. But I think what is a more persuasive thing that people aren't saying is they've done this before. Like they do this. So the Christian Heritage Foundation was created in the 70s as a direct response to our civil rights to us.
Literally, I watched a documentary on this not too long ago. I can't remember what it was called. Maybe it'll be on my Prime Video situation. It was about the Christian evangelical sect of right-wing politics that immediately upon the Civil Rights Act went and started lobbying evangelicals, like the leaders, like the pastors and the groups and that, but also like trying to propagandize to the people in those groups, so the evangelical followers, so that they could mobilize votes for Republicans, and this is part of the Southern strategy. Like this is all they've been preparing this for 50 years, man.
Civil rights in 1964. So what they did was they created a large plan, the equivalent of Project 2020 of that time, and they literally opened. If you look up, go and Google the Project 25 right now. Go look up the mandate, like their mandate, whatever it's called. It opens up by letting you know, we did this in 1970s because of them to that shit, and we accomplished 60-something percent or 80-something percent of everything in our agenda. That's why you have all these people. So it's like, I don't know what it is that people want you to debate with them about. Factually, they fucking do it. They did it. They do it. They're doing it. You're literally experiencing it. Like, and
these are fantastic arguments on why you should vote for Kamala Harris. I mean, this is such good rhetoric. She's so good at this. I want her on more stuff. She's so good.
Everything you say, it just makes me think like all the people that were shouted down when they said, yo, Roe is on the chopping block. We're going to lose the right to abortion. No, they're not going to do that. Kavanaugh and them said they're not going to. Oh, yeah?
Gone.
Chopping up all your fucking rights. And the thing that people don't understand, right, is like, I wish people would explain things to people more. I think when people say things like, what happens to me will affect you too, or my rights affect you, whereas people think you're just being like spiritual and theoretical. But no. Your rights are actually how you got the right to an abortion. All of those there's an original Supreme Court case called Griswold versus Connecticut, where the Supreme Court recognized a right to privacy. They had this idea, and in order to get this right to privacy, they came up with the idea of like the penumbra of rights, that there are certain rights that we as people have that are not enumerated in the Constitution, but are God-given. You know what I mean?
But it extends to your body.
Right. And so finding that, like under that ruling, that's how they got the right to abortion in Roe versus Wade. That's how they got the right to like us being able to get contraceptives. Those were all things that were legal. That's how you got the right to gay sex. I think it's important to know, up until 2003, it was illegal for gay people to even have gay men to have sex with each other, right?
Then we had hurricanes. Do you remember that? They were saying, the gays, they're causing the hurricanes. Remember the gay hurricanes chat?
So that's
Did any of you cause the gay hurricanes?
How you got that. That's how you got the right to direct the upbringing of your children. All these rights are literally tied together. So when they say, oh, they're chopping up, or that's how you got the right to interracial marriage in Loving versus Virginia, all of these things. So when they say, oh, your rights are on the chopping block, they literally mean a doctrinal threat. If they have found, and they said it, they literally said it in the opinion for when they overturned Roe versus Wade, they said the court has a duty to correct the errors of Griswold versus Connecticut, and they enumerated all your rights that they plan to get and they working down the list. They've got Roe, they've got affirmative action, they're fucking going. So it's like, to me, the idea that I have to like,
she's fucking right. I love her energy about this. I love the information she's getting out. Like, this is, I'm glad we're watching this.
Convince anybody of what the fuck is real life. I'm like, what do you want? The sky is blue, 2 + 2 = green.
Yeah.
My question is, what does that have to do with Kamala being Indian or black in the grand scheme? I need to say this. I'm gonna give you the runway.
That whole
so don't get me started.
Well,
first of all, because it needs to be said.
They just got on Janet Jackson. They just went.
Wait. Can we deal with that first?
Hold on.
Wait, when you going Janet Jackson?
No. I'm just saying real quick.
There's an argument about whether she's Indian or not. Yeah, I started out and you cut me off.
No, I didn't cut you off.
Oh no!
I get
it's
it.
Falling falling apart. It's falling apart.
All I did was ask a question.
Indian. Kamala being Indian.
Indian, please. In her being, what relevancy does her being Indian or black have to do with the fact that whether or not our rights are being taken away?
They say she's leaning on the black side and being paid.
Sometimes when you guys, he means well, but he's not really cooking very hot. You know what I mean? He means well though. That's good.
Patronizing.
But
that's what they're saying.
That's
some black people.
Here's the thing. It's simply not true. And I'm not I'm a defense attorney, nigga. I'm not a Kamala fan. I'm not. It's like that's not my elk or whatever.
Right.
But it's simply not true. I've actually noticed like the opposite, right? Like Kamala, you haven't heard her being like, you're gonna get the first woman president. Have you heard it in any speech? She hasn't said that. She's not saying those things. Like
they did with Hillary. Holy shit, they did.
Hillary Clinton actually was somebody who was like leaning into like, I'm gonna be the woman, I'm gonna be this. Yeah. That's not what Kamala is saying. It's just not true that she's leaning into identity politics. It's not true. This entire discussion, and the fight about her race and all that is what is the identity politics and leaning into. Because why the fuck are we talking about this? It's honestly a stupid conversation from black people, because the reality is black people are Democrats' strongest and most consistent voter base. Democrats are the only people. Democrats vote. I mean, black people vote for Democrats at like 90-something percentile.
And they ought to, because the Republicans go after them so fucking hard. It's crazy.
Where everybody else is from like 40 to 60. You know what I mean? So if we vote for every fucking white man, they've trotted out as the Democrat. Now all of a sudden, the requirements for being president is to be black. Well, the requirements for you to vote for this bitch is to be black.
Well, the thing is too is like the black vote is almost the most important vote.
Yes,
America,
dude, he's high as fuck.
It's the vote that the Democrats rely
black
on.
Folks, it's like our opinions matter.
But 90-something is too low. I mean, just it is what it is.
But we don't matter.
Because
when we get in office, then we don't matter again.
You are absolutely right, and that's what all this discourse is about. Because if you look at the stats, I just put out a video on this on my YouTube called like, "Is Obama helping the Democrats scapegoat black men?" Because everybody was up in arms about the comments, right?
He just made a speech to these black dudes.
Yeah,
you see that one?
And they lost
that's
their
what I made a video about.
Yeah.
If you watch, and I put a clip like I shortened it of like just going through the stats, right? But if you go through the stats for 2020, 2016, 2012, and 2008, like what you will see is that, first of all, white people don't never fucking vote Democrat. Like
I wish they did more.
Ever. Like they're never the majority. Like they're 41, 30-some% every fucking time. Like they're people usually right. So what happens is, and how Obama won, like we rewrite history. People have this idea because Obama's so loved by the white liberal that like Obama was the nigga that won the like white people's vote. No, he did not. He won like 37% of the white. But he voted 95% of the black vote, and important, this is what's important, he won it with record turnout. Democrats always win 90-something% of the black vote, but it's about how many black people are going to show up, are going to go out. So for Obama,
I think we're going to get a good amount this year.
Record numbers, Joe Biden record numbers because of the Trump thing. So what Obama is speaking to, and people aren't listening because they're so like, I get it. Black men, it is true that black men are unfairly often, the media creates this myth of the black male Republican, which is like, it's a myth. It just is not statistically based in truth. They're constantly like celebrating. They celebrate the black woman. It's like the black woman saved the Democrats. The black woman saved America, while shitting on the black man, who is the only person who votes for Democrat more than black men is black women. Right. So it's like you're shitting on black men. So I understand black men being sensitive to that. So I get that. I understand that like impetus on what Obama is saying. But I think what actually is happening there, it isn't Obama saying that black men aren't going to vote Democrat, or like black men aren't the majority of black men who turn up aren't going to vote Democrat. What he's saying is, I won only because of record turnout from black people. So if there are more if black people feel discouraged and don't want to turn out, they're not going out, which the polls are indicating that they're not feeling as excited, black men aren't showing up, she's going to fucking lose because she's not going to win the white vote. She's not going to win it. They never win. The white people Democrats don't win the white vote.
Right.
So
white people Democrats.
She needs that record turnout. So it's discouraging if niggas are online all day.
But then you can't get mad at when they're like, yeah, Obama, we voted for you, but you fucking dealt with other agendas. You put the gay agenda ahead of us. You put all this other shit ahead of us.
The gay agenda?
You didn't do shit for us, and we voted for you.
That's not true either.
Well, I'm saying that's what they're saying.
But they're saying it.
That's how they feel.
I get it.
And they sucker black folks a lot.
But here's the thing. If you talk about the fact that
I don't know what his opinion on the gay agenda is.
Obama passed the first national health care bill.
Yeah, he was pretty bad on LGBTQ rights to start, yeah.
The people that are most...
Obergefell v. Hodges happened when he was there.
Hurt by a lack of health care of black people. Yeah. It affects them. So simply by him, if he did nothing else but pass the bill, he saved more black lives than any president in the history of this government, period. Because of the fact that black people have the pre-existing conditions, they have the high blood pressure, they have the diabetes. And so just by them having health...
1.5 million early voters for Pennsylvania, 58% going Dem. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, he's saving millions of lives since he passed the bill, and every year so when we say when they say Obama didn't do nothing, this is talk from somebody who has never even done the research about it and doesn't even.
Either way, you're right, but most people who vote aren't doing research. So how are you going to tell somebody that I don't really read a lot, but I just don't like what this fucker has done?
Yeah, but you can't.
You got to talk to the uneducated. They're like, I'm not going to go research like you.
But that's exactly.
I don't like this dude.
But that's why because this is why I'm saying it. I'm saying if Obama didn't pass, which is not true, it is literally a Google away. You don't. It's not like you got to do major research. You could just say, what did Obama do? But even if you don't have the list. If you just say he passed the health care bill, he has saved more black people were saved by that bill alone than any other president in the history of this country. So it's like, what are you talking about? So
I guess this is what I'm gonna say. I understand it's
a big bracelet.
Obama's legacy has aged in complicated ways. I think
dude, he's breathing into the fucking mic.
Signifier has really good videos breaking down how both the I guess the black excellence stuff.
Oh no, is he gonna breathe into the mic the whole time?
Hope thing that black people were really hyped up on Obama, how that's come about. Yeah. And so that's nuanced and complicated. And I understand people feeling for one way or the other. There are people who are educated and people who are uneducated, or you know what I mean, feeling these frustrations as well. You know what I mean? Right. Democrats are not angels. Obviously look at all these things. I do think I think a lot of what people complain about and they want happens on the state level. I think people need the state and the local level. Yeah. People give a lot of energy to their federal
I'm begging people to respect the down ballot vote, man. So many fuckers don't go vote and they're just like, yeah, well, doesn't matter. The vote doesn't matter. It's like, I'm in a blue state. Yeah, but how many people are in your fucking county? Okay? How many people are in your fucking local precinct? You know what I mean? You gotta go vote for the people that are gonna be in your community telling you to do shit.
Federal election to presidential election, but most of what the fuck matters for you.
As far as Michigan goes, 2.2 million, 47% Democrat to 42% Republican. Let's fucking go.
It's happening on the local. That's why I'm on my mayor's ass. That's why I'm those are the things that I'm focused on. So that's one. I encourage everybody to focus on that. And I think two, what I want to say to people is, you cannot spite the power, the powers that be. I think what people do, what I notice a lot, every single time I have these discussions, people will be like, yeah, that's good or whatever that you said, but it's the Democrats who should have said it. The Democrats don't do that. The Democrats don't reach out to, the Democrats aren't saying it. They have this energy of I am personally upset with the Democrats. So I'm going to show the Democrats by not voting them. And I'm you're not going to show the Democrats. You're not hurting Joe Biden. You're not hurting Nancy Pelosi. You're hurting you. You're not doing shit to them. You're hurting yourself. It's just that simple.
Right. 1,000,000%.
For me, there are little things you could get. If
we gotta move that mic just a little bit from his face.
I'm not a Democrat. I don't work for them. I don't work for Kamala and them, so I'm not gonna spend no time going through her record and what she has planned. I will say she did drop a specific plan for black men.
She just did, right? Today. She has a new law thing for black men. Yeah. What is it? What is
her black man economic agenda? It talks about legalizing marijuana, making opportunities for black men to enter the cannabis industry. She talks about it's a whole laundry list of things. So buying a run on before they say, see, look at her telling you what common things.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a lot of good things. What I will say is, even if you don't,
I like a lot of the policy. I think it's weird to target black men for the cannabis industry, but I also think it's not, because they've been targeted unduly for the possession of weed or whatever by the police for so long. So it's kind of okay, but look, now you can do it and maybe make some money on it. It's kind of like a reparation, but not really. It's sort of our bad. That's our bad.
don't know all of that and all of this and the next thing, you look at the Supreme Court. Like, look at the Supreme Court. Look at all of the little things that you can know and see. The reality is, we have just lost a bunch of rights that were there for 50 years. Like, there are going to be children. My daughter is not going to grow up in an America where there's the right to an abortion. You know what I mean? Like, where you have to think about what state that you live in. There are black women literally dying because they are. This has happened. You can Google it right now. Black
bleeding
women dying
in the
because they're in states where they can't get medically necessary abortions and things like that. What I say to you is, if Donald Trump becomes president right now, Alito and them or whatever resign, like whatever,
Amy Coleman,
retire. He will fill the bench, and that's your bench for the next fucking 30, 50 years. Like that, you know what I mean? Like that kind of damage. And like, I think we have to remember, I think progressives like myself can be a little short-sighted with is the long game. They have
so true.
There is this popular conception, I think, online that Republicans are just bulldozing their shit overnight. Like, I'm mad with the Democrats because the Democrats act like they can't do anything and the Republicans do whatever the fuck they want. Republicans played a long game. Republicans was working on how to get rid of Roe.
Facts.
For 50 fucking years, they didn't like that. The minute they got it right, those niggas went and they did this. They created think tanks and they spent 50 years creating agendas. I'm getting rid of that shit. I'm gonna get rid of it. So we have to have the same energy. We do this thing where we're like, we do protests in 2020 and we don't immediately dismantle policing. And we're like, the movement is suffering.
Oh my God, leftists. Yes, I agree. Oh, thank you for saying this. We don't immediately just fucking undo stuff. People get so fucking discouraged. Oh, so good.
Oh, for a cop now, it's all over. Meanwhile, there are a shit ton of progressive wins that happen on the ground, and it matters. It matters that bail reform is being passed. It matters that right now, black men are officially, statistically more likely to go to college than to prison. Black men have had the largest decline in prison population of any group.
That's awesome.
That fucking matters. But people, they act like it's just like, what I feel like we talk a lot about symbolic wins. I feel like black people are always expected to receive these symbolic wins. But I think progressives cry a lot about symbolic losses. Like, it's like, oh my God, I have to vote for a cop, so the movement is done. And I'm like, oh, give me a fucking break. Oh, brother, we have a shit ton of wins. Lots of good things are happening.
I agree. Thank you. Oh, this is so fucking good.
Cop because you like them or whatever have you. Like, you are voting for your weakest adversary, the person you are most susceptible to change. The reality is we have the evidence of that, because how many times just since Kamala has been running for office, that she has gotten criticism for she got criticism for how she handled the hecklers about Palestine. She changed how she did that. She got criticism for, is there a black man agenda? She got that. So we see, even if you don't believe it's genuine, it doesn't have to be genuine. It just has to get done. So if you can pressure somebody who needs your support in order to do something, has you seen Donald Trump change shit because we don't like it?
You don't give a fuck.
Exactly. So that's my point.
Okay. You don't give a fuck.
Perfect in every way. We can leave it at that. Perfect. It's exactly how I feel. It's pragmatic. It actually helps. It's good. We don't have to like her specifically. There's so much more than her running the fucking country. She's one person. We just gotta get it fucking done, dude. Yeah. We just gotta get it done. I feel pretty good about it. The early voting is looking really good. Mail-in's gonna look good for us too. I would like to fucking smash him so he has no choice. I would like to beat him soundly. 10 million votes or so would be ideal. Breaking 90 million votes altogether is definitely possible. There's already 2.5 million early from Michigan. Fingers crossed for you guys. Fingers crossed for fucking everybody. I'm glad though. I think it'll be over soon. I think we're gonna do it. I feel good about it. Please go vote.